Mastering the art of passing exams is not about pulling desperate, caffeine-fueled all-nighters or trying to force memorize hundreds of pages of textbooks the day before the test. True academic success is built on a foundation of strategic preparation, psychological readiness, and efficient execution. When you understand how your brain processes, stores, and retrieves information, you can transform studying from an overwhelming chore into a manageable, highly effective system. By shifting your approach from passive review to active engagement, you can dramatically improve your grades while actually reducing your stress levels. 1. Foundations of effective preparation. The journey to passing any exam begins long before you sit down in the examination hall. It starts with organizing your study environment and establishing a structured timeline. A cluttered workspace often leads to a cluttered mind, so your first step should always be to curate a dedicated, quiet study zone free from digital and physical distractions. Once your environment is set, you must map out your preparation using a realistic study schedule. Instead of aiming for vague goals like studying biology on Tuesday, break your syllabus down into specific, micro-targeted topics. The power of spaced repetition. One of the most scientifically proven methods to ensure exam success is escaping the trap of cramming through a technique known as spaced repetition. When you learn new information, your brain naturally begins to forget it almost immediately, a phenomenon known as the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. To counteract this, you need to review the material at increasing intervals over time, e.g., one day after learning, then 3 days later, then a week later, and finally a month later. This constant retrieval process signals to your brain that the information is critical, shifting it from your volatile short-term memory into your permanent long-term memory. Shifting from passive to active learning. Furthermore, you must abandon passive learning habits, such as simply rereading highlighted textbooks or staring at lecture slides. Passive reading creates an illusion of competence. You mistake familiarity with actual understanding. Instead, embrace active recall. This means closing your book and forcing your brain to retrieve the information from scratch. You can achieve this by writing down everything you remember on a blank sheet of paper, using flashcards, or summarizing complex concepts in your own words. Another incredibly powerful active learning strategy is the Feynman technique. Named after the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman, this method requires you to explain a difficult concept to someone else, or even an imaginary audience, as if they were a 10-year-old child. The moment you try to simplify a complex topic without using jargon, you will instantly identify the gaps in your own understanding, allowing you to go back to your notes and target your weak points precisely. 2. Advanced study strategies and technical mastery. As you dive deeper into your exam preparation, you need to utilize resources that closely mimic the actual testing environment. The absolute gold standard of exam preparation is practicing with past exam papers. Working through past papers under timed conditions serves multiple purposes. It familiarizes you with the specific formatting and phrasing of exam questions, trains your brain to retrieve information under pressure, and exposes you to the strict constraints of the clock. When you grade your own practice papers using the official marking scheme, you gain invaluable insight into what examiners are actually looking for, allowing you to tailor your future answers to maximize point allocation. Maximizing focus with the Pomodoro technique. To prevent cognitive fatigue during these intense study sessions, implement the Pomodoro technique. Human focus naturally wanes after prolonged periods, so break your study blocks into 25 minutes of absolute, uninterrupted focus, followed by a strict 5-minute break to stretch, hydrate, or breathe deeply. After completing 4 of these cycles, reward yourself with a longer break of 20 to 30 minutes. This rhythmic structure keeps your brain fresh, wards off procrastination, and ensures that the time you spend studying is characterized by high-quality focus rather than sluggish endurance. Harnessing visual tools. Additionally, utilize visual organization tools like mind maps and concept diagrams. Our brains are highly visual organs, and connecting disparate ideas through intersecting lines, colors, and branches helps create a cognitive framework that makes complex systems easier to recall during an exam. 3. The psychology of success and exam day execution. You can possess flawless notes and an immaculate study schedule, but if you neglect your physical and psychological well-being, your exam performance will suffer. Your brain is a biological engine that requires premium fuel and rest to function at its peak. Sleep deprivation is the ultimate enemy of academic performance. During deep sleep, your brain actively consolidates the information you studied during the day, clearing out metabolic waste and solidifying memory pathways. Pulling an all-nighter right before an exam severely impairs your working memory, critical thinking skills, and emotional regulation, making you highly susceptible to panic and blanking out. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep, especially during the week leading up to your exams. Nourishing mind and body complement this rest with proper nutrition and hydration. Avoid heavy, sugar-laden foods that cause rapid spikes and subsequent crashes in your energy levels. Instead, opt for nutrient-dense foods like nuts, berries, whole grains, and lean proteins that provide sustained cognitive energy. On the morning of the exam, manage your anxiety by avoiding peer stress. Standing outside the exam hall discussing potential questions with anxious classmates will only trigger your fight or flight response, clouding your logical thinking. Find a quiet space, breathe deeply, and visualize yourself successfully navigating the test. 4. Mastering the exam paper. Once you receive the exam paper, take a tactical approach to executing your answers. Do not rush blindly into writing the very first question. Spend the first few minutes systematically reading through the entire paper to gauge its scope and difficulty. Allocate your time strictly based on the point values of the questions. It is a critical mistake to spend half of your time perfecting a 5-mark essay while leaving a 20-mark question entirely blank. Begin by answering the easiest questions first. Securing these quick wins builds immediate momentum, activates your confidence, and stimulates your brain's retrieval networks, often unlocking memories that will help you solve the more challenging questions later on. Tackling tricky questions. When tackling complex, multi-part questions or essays, read the prompt with extreme care. Underline command words like analyze, contrast, evaluate, or list, as each demands a completely different structural approach. Before writing an essay response, jot down a brief, bulleted outline on a scrap piece of paper to ensure your argument flows logically and covers all necessary points. If you encounter a notoriously difficult question that completely stumps you, do not let panic paralyze you. Mark it, move on to protect your time, and return to it later with a fresh perspective. Often, clues or contextual triggers embedded in other questions will help jog your memory. Finally, never leave an exam room early. If you finish ahead of schedule, use every remaining second to meticulously review your work. Check for simple arithmetic mistakes, ensure you answered every required sub-question, and refine your handwriting to guarantee the examiner can easily read and grade your insights. By combining deliberate preparation, healthy habits, and sharp exam day tactics, you can walk into any testing room with absolute confidence and pass your exams with flying colors.